book. And I'll be handing it over to Estella. So please take it away. Thank you, Estella.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. How are you? Welcome today. I do have one favor. I have a couple of participants whose first name isn't visible. So if you have a name that you'd like to be addressed, by which you'd like to be addressed, go ahead and update your the name that displays so that we can see that. And or when we do introductions, you can just tell me your name. So anyhow, so it's a nice Friday afternoon. Thank you all for showing up. I appreciate it. And so we're going to get started with the content here in our webinar. So in today's session, we're going to explore some important aspects of multi-level class environment, the class community, learner-centered class management, the paradigm shift, lesson planning, and the purposes. Finally, we'll do a wrap up and a course overview so you know what to expect in the class. So my name is Estella Banks, and I was able to finally post my introduction video, so I invite you to take a look at that. But in the meantime, if you want to come off mute, we have a smaller group. And so I invite you to just, introduce yourselves, give me your name, your agency, and your current classes or class that you're teaching. You want to start, Yael?
Oh, I was like, I can start.
Okay, go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah. So my name's Kathy Chun. I am the ESL Pathway Advisor at East LA Occupational Center. Currently, I'm not teaching a class, but I definitely would love to learn more about, managing the classroom with different students with different levels.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kayed Vizcarra. I am a curriculum developer at Building Skills Partnership, but I'm also an educator for a community college here in San Diego. I'm not currently teaching my ESL multi-level class, but I have taught ESL multi-level classes online. So I'm really excited about the conversations and yeah, incorporating them into the challenge of virtual teaching.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Nice to meet you, Yael and Kathy. Who wants to go next?
I can go next.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Venubia Robinson, and I teach Adult Continuing Education School ESL at in Marysville with Marysville Joint Unified School District. And I've taught ESL before for about 11 years, and I taught different levels, mainly beginning low and beginning high. But this is my first class that it's multi-level. It's a multi-level class. Yeah, we just started this new class.
Wow, congratulations. Can you repeat your first name because the sound glitched as you were saying it?
Okay, is Venubia.
Venubia. Okay, nice to meet you, Venubia. And I just want to say one little thing. My grandparents had a property in Bangor, so really close to Marysville.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
For a long time, but yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay, who's next? Thank you. Nice to meet you, Venubia.
Thank you.
All right.
I guess I'll go next.
Okay.
My name is Belen Luna Rubio. I am a counselor / ESL teacher / teaching citizenship person at Colton Adult School. And so I've had multi-level classes before. I still do, but I have the higher levels this year. So even with that, there's a range, of learning curve between the levels 4, 5 and 6. So this will be good for me because then maybe, it'll give me a refresher or it'll give me some new strategies.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for joining us, Belen. Okay, so we still have a few more to say hello.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Victoria Davis. I'm with Mojave Adult School. I am the principal, so currently not teaching any ESL classes, but I want to learn how to support my ESL teachers in instructing their multi-level classes.
Welcome, Victoria. Thank you for joining us. Okay, Aline, George, Jorge, Ashley.
I can go.
Okay.
Hi. Yeah, my name is Aline. My name is Aline Dre, and I work at San Quentin. I teach adult inmates, adult basic education right now, but I've been an ESL, EFL teacher for about 30 years, mostly teaching abroad. So I'm really interested in taking this class to learn about integrating some strategies with multi-level language learners. I have quite a few of them in my class, and sort of integrating them in this kind of environment. So I'm really excited to learn something from this class.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us. Okay. I think that leaves you, Mr. Lozano.
Yeah, sorry. Good afternoon. My name is Jorge Lozano. I teach for the Southwest, or Southeast, my bad, Southeast Occupational Center, or another name for is Slauson Occupational Center. In LA, I teach 3A and 3B, and very excited to learn new strategies and incorporate them into our classroom agenda and lessons. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so let's move on to our next. So let's talk about the course purpose. In this course, it's designed to present strategies for planning lessons for students of widely varying language skills that allows you to engage each student in the learning. A quick brief course expectation. So our week is Monday through Sunday. And I do recognize today is Friday. When I scheduled the events, I hadn't thought about the Monday through Sunday thing. So the tip is normally to submit your work by Friday, and then you have a couple of days to respond to your colleagues and for them to respond to you. So in this case, if you need the extra time, please, do your work over the next couple of days or even Monday, and then make sure you submit everything by Tuesday so that I have time to come in and take a look and give you feedback and encouragement and things like that. Okay. And we'll talk about our next webinar near the end, and then, hopefully that'll give you a little more time too. All right, some additional course expectations. We'd love for you to read and contribute to the asynchronous online discussions at least twice a week. Read the course materials, watch the video, and listen to the podcast. And finally, complete the assignments. So the course objectives overall are to develop a lesson for a multi-level ESL class, identify resources for managing and teaching a multi-level class, develop solutions to the challenges and joys of presented by a multi-level class. All right, our webinar objectives. We're going to describe the value of building class community in an ESL multi-level class and describe ways to foster it. Describe the underlying principles of learner-centered classroom management, the roles of the instructor and learners in the ESL multi-level class, and also explore the ESL multi-level lesson plan process, starting with backward design. Okay, I'm monitoring the participants. I'm making sure you all are okay. All right, webinar goal. So part of our goal during this webinar is, if you've attended any other CalPro trainings, whether in person or online, is that CalPro works to integrate the strategies that we're sharing with you in the webinars themselves. So here again, we're going to develop a community of online colleagues. So that would be us here and on the Moodle. Understand how this online course works, and then explore instructor and student roles in a multi-level class. How are we doing so far?
Good.
Yeah, good. All right. Okay, so let's go on to defining the multi-level ESL or defining multi-level in general. So in the chat, I'm going to invite you to give me your best description or characteristic, just a short description or characteristic of what of a designated multi-level ESL class. Because we know from teaching ESL that every class is multi-level. Pretty much every adult ed class is multi-level in some way, right? So what's the characteristic of a designated multi-level ESL class? Oh, sorry. So go ahead in the chat and let's see what you got. Oh, thank you, Laura. She's put a question in the chat for you to respond. Can you guys see my chat window or no?
Yes.
Oh, you can?
No, cannot see your chat window, but we can see
Okay,
our
okay.
own, yes.
No, I was just checking to see if my chat window is visible because I'm looking.
You're all good.
Thank you. Okay, so I have one answer so far. Anyone else? One word popcorn style. What is a characteristic of a designated multi-level class? Okay, good. I have a second one. Ah, okay. Very good. Couple more. Uh-huh. Very good. Any other thoughts? Let's see here. Ah, yes. Excellent. Uh-huh. Okay. That's the truth. Truth be told, right? Okay. Anyone else want to pop in and share their characteristic? All right. So, okay, very good. So thank you, everyone. I think I have an answer from, oh, yes. Yes. Okay, so let's take a look at what are some of these answers or your input. So diverse, the class is broad spectrum and individualized, varying worldly experience, challenging, cooperative groups, challenging and fun, and multi-generational. So those are some great, thank you for your input. Those are awesome. So now let's take a look at what is multi-level ESL. So considering some of the thoughts that you've already shared, what are some of the benefits of a multi-level ESL class? If you want to come off mute, you can quickly share a couple of benefits. Okay, Vanu, did you want to say something? I put you on the spot, huh?
I was just saying something else that Laura
Okay.
just asked me. Sorry.
Okay.
Corrected.
Oh, confusion look. Okay.
Can I say something?
Mhm.
I think one benefit that I can think of is just that you can have the students that are more advanced to interact, help the students that are beginners. That's one thing that we can do.
Okay. So I see a benefit is, okay, Jorge.
So that could be kind of like a peer teaching, coaching, I guess, right?
Yes, yes. Jorge?
Yeah, just to piggyback a little bit on our colleague's idea, yeah, they do well with groups. I do see the advanced students, helping sometimes the lower end students, and it helps us a little bit, to run the class a little bit smoother sometimes. So if there's a willing to help others, I think they work well in groups, and sometimes when you have really good groups, it makes the class a little bit more fun.
I agree. Thank you. Okay, so I see also collaboration, a benefit, helping each other. These are items from the chat, common goals and similar needs. So these are some benefits that you've experienced. So that's awesome. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay. So then what are the challenges of an ESL multi-level class that you've experienced?
There are a lot of challenges. They're all coming from different levels, and teachers have to develop lessons, and it's difficult for them to focus on one level when they have different levels in there. And they can't teach to the whole group sometimes, and that would be very challenging.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Definitely. I see some items in the chat like addressing the needs of all levels. And that's something that piggybacks on what you're saying, Kathy. And then low or no academic experience. And yes, that is an interesting aspect of any ESL class, is the varying levels of academic background that the students, have had the opportunity to participate in. I see a hand is raised. Go ahead, Mr. Lozano.
I also sometimes experience the challenges of students falling behind maybe too much and they start dropping classes. So we don't want to lose those. We do our best to keep everyone involved. But here and there, you see a lot of them who might fall behind too much and they might stop coming to class.
Okay, those are good. Let's make sure we talk about that later too. Okay, lots of planning. And then I see Yael, you have your hand up.
Yes, also to echo what Jorge just mentioned about retention being a challenge, and also working with low literacy populations, and just making sure to provide space for the levels, but keeping in mind the particular needs of a low literacy group is challenging.
Yes. Yes, definitely. I will say that when I first started teaching ESL, it was a huge paradigm for me, coming from, my own privilege and all that, to recognize that not every student in my class had had the same educational experiences that I had had, even, to the point of having compulsory high school education is not universal across the world, right? So that was like a wow for me when I first, realized that. And I was like, man, a lot to be considered, for the students in the class. I'll also say that that paradigm also helped me to recognize that students would relate to the class and me as the instructor based on their last level of education that they experience. And so that's something we can talk about later when we get to another part of the webinar, this class. So good input. So tell me, how are your learners diverse? How are your learners diverse?
Well, I have students from Mexico, Colombia, Afghanistan, China, Laos, and Brazil.
Nice.
Yeah, and some of them, diverse also the goals that they have. Some students, they are taking my class because they want to get a better job. Others, they are looking into to get their high school diploma and entering the high school program that we have. Also for a GED test. So yeah.
Yep, definitely diverse. So they're not only diverse in the degree of language proficiency, but also these items that you've mentioned, different cultural upbringing, the different countries, and their different educational levels, experiences as students prior to entering your class. The ESL multi-level class is an opportunity to cultivate an environment where differences are complementary strengths toward a common goal, similar to a workplace or community environment, right? All right, so let's talk about classroom community. Students need to feel comfortable and safe so that they can take risks in learning, especially in an ESL multi-level class. And some of the things you've already said have give credence to this idea. The more students know each other and see commonalities, and the safer they feel in the class, the more likely your community will form. Building class community is one way to foster a class environment in which each student feels welcomed, respected, and valued. So these two quotes by Jamie Adelson Goldstein and Lenora Balido encourage us to embrace class diversity, including multi-level, and capitalize on the richness it brings. So give me some of your thoughts about what you see here in these quotes. A multi-level classroom can be a learning environment and community like no other. And then Lenore says, by naming and talking openly about the differences in the class, you have a better chance of exploiting the richness inherent in those differences. Multi becomes a strength rather than a deficit. So I would love for you to chime in and give me some of your first impressions about these quotes. Go ahead, Mr. Lozano.
Well, like the first quote, I think something pops in my head, and the first thing that comes up is it is a reflection of our world. It's a reflection of our community that we live in. It's what we see out there in the real world. It's everything, multi-level, multi-cultures, and the riches that we have around here, especially here in Southern California. So I think that's the first thing that comes up. That's a reflection of our world right now.
Yes,
especially here.
Excellent. Yeah, I agree. Thank you. Anyone else? Who else has a thought? I'm really curious when you look at the second quote in particular, by naming and talking openly about the differences in the class, you have a better chance of exploiting the richness. So I would pose the question, when students enter your class and part of your orientation to the class, talk about this?
If I may contribute something, I haven't in my experience approached it immediately upon welcoming learners and participants. It's mostly when the differences come up in the actual lessons and activities. So I'll give one example that really comes to mind. Even though I'm working with like an ethnically, what may be perceived like ethnically non-diverse group of people, people's backgrounds are so varied in terms of like urban experiences and rural backgrounds. So that often comes up as a theme, people's experiences in rural environments. So that is something that when it does come up, we do this, it's an opportunity to explore the vocabulary. So for example, finding like the equivalent vocabularies, right, in English, but then it also provides people an opportunity to share a little bit about where they come from and their trajectory to, this common place that we find ourselves in Southern California, San Diego, Los Angeles, because I work with people throughout the South. So that is one of the ways in which I'm able to explore that urban-rural divide in the classroom. But yeah, it can be challenging.
Yes. And it's just a thought, to consider, like, what would it be like, or how would it change my class if I were to start off and say, hey, guess what? We're all different. Let's see how we can make this a beautiful thing for all of us, right? Thank you for your contributions on that. All right, so we're going to do a give one, take one activity in the chat. So in the chat, there are many ways to foster class community. So in this give one, take one chat activity, you'll share your community building activities with each other. So How do you build class community so that each learner feels welcome and is respected and valued? So in the chat, go ahead and give us your give one, ideas that you find useful in building class community, welcoming, respected, and valued. Okay, I'm seeing some good input. So how do you build class community so that each learner feels welcome, feels respected, and valued? Okay, good. I'm seeing some great input. Let's see, where did my chat go? Here we go. Okay. Okay. Has everyone had a chance to give some input? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read them out loud. Oh, here's another one, so we can have it recorded on the video. So let's see. I see we develop common class principles at the beginning of the class. Excellent. Promoting group activities. Yes. Icebreaker games like bingo. Yes. Those are great. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, encourage group projects and pair work. Excellent. I have a welcome to my class activity. They share what their likes are. Rotating, assigning roles. Okay, interviewing each other. So they interview their classmates. Activities that students share their backgrounds could be when we talk about food and bringing recipes. Okay, discussing national flags and what that means. Oh, wow, that's great. Group work, and then welcome students as they walk in. Okay, and self-introductions. Excellent. Thank you for your input. That's really awesome. Okay, so now that you've seen each other's ideas in the chat, what is one idea or practice that you plan to take away? And so this one, I'm going to have you come off mute. Come off mute and share just real quick one new one that you think you might integrate into your class. So what is one idea or practice you plan to take away?
I can come in.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, this is Aline.
Hi.
I saw about project work, and that's something that I've used sometimes in the past, but I really would like to integrate it more in multi-level classrooms. I think I think they have a lot of potential to work with adults. So that's something that I'd like to integrate.
Okay, thank you. Belin says to encourage more projects as a group. Okay, so that's actually another vote. Kathy, are you off mute? Did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I was thinking also to encourage students to share their cultural backgrounds, the idea of sharing their flags. I think that would be good, and kind of displaying them, and also it'll be a learning experience for students about different cultures and backgrounds and where they're from, and kind of locating in the map. I think that's celebrating their cultural backgrounds as well.
Yes, and what a beautifully enriching language activity as well, right? To turn that. And actually, I'm seeing Another project-based learning is something that Victoria wants to include more or encourage her staff to include. Venubia, you want to chime in?
Yeah, it's just something that I noticed with my students that happened this week, and I thought was very cool. Because I do all these, I do the pair work, the interviewing, they interview each other, group work, games, bingo, they love bingo. But one I was watching these two students talking, one from China and another one from Mexico. And they were teaching each other their languages, how to say hi, thank you. And I thought that was super cool.
Yes.
And maybe have them teach to the class, just basic, something basic, and it was good for me too, because I've learned how to say a few words in Chinese.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for your input. And I will say one thing that I noticed too is that some of these ideas that you shared with each other are also excellent group activities or project-based activities. So, definitely some things to take away, because the language, I'm sorry, teaching each other something, the flags, the food and culture, those are all excellent ways to enrich, and to create group activities. So as you see, you are a great resource to each other. And so similarly, students in your multi-level ESL class can be resources for one another. If you use the give one, take one activity in your class, you may want to take time to practice the language first that they will need in order to be able to participate in this activity. Also, additional questions can provide higher learning, higher level students, for example, with more challenge, like, can you elaborate on, and can you clarify the part about, right? Okay, so let's talk about the learner-centered classroom management. So students can feel a sense of class ownership when they have some responsibility for the class through student-centered management, and it becomes their class and not yours, the teachers, right? And this, really integrates well too with the ideas of Malcolm Knowles in the andragogy, the 5 principles of andragogy, and how important it is for adults to have a feeling of control and ownership over their learning. It's very different than the pedagogy, where the teachers provides all of the guidance. So something to explore. All right. So why are learner-centered management classroom jobs effective in an ESL multi-level class? So one is that it gives students a sense of ownership over the class, right? Another provides learners with opportunities for authentic language practice and workplace skills, right? We're mirroring what's happening outside of the classroom. And then another is that it frees you, the instructor, to focus on more instruction. So learner-centered classroom management and classroom jobs reflect principles of adult learning from, for example, from Knowles and Ferrer. Adult students are motivated when they feel comfortable in the learning environment, have a variety of learning options, and have opportunities for social learning. So classroom jobs also give them an opportunity to use authentic language and workplace skills. So let's take a look at an activity we're going to participate in. So there's many ways for students to take responsibility for the class. Through a round robin activity, we will brainstorm classroom jobs that students of any language level can do. So what does a round robin look like? The facilitator poses a problem or question that with many possible answers. Then group members contribution to the answer, each person taking a turn going around the group. Too fast. Okay, so in this round robin, you will be in groups of 4, and I think we have enough people to do 2 groups. Yes, Laura?
That's right.
Okay, excellent. And we're going to use the breakout rooms, yes?
Yes, we are.
Okay. All right. So in the round robin, you're going to have a limited amount of time to identify different classroom. So you're going to have a manager, a facilitator, a recorder, and a presenter in your group. And so the manager's job is that to make sure that your group has had an opportunity to generate ideas, right? So you have about 4 or 5 minutes to do that. And then 2 minutes for y'all to select one idea that you like from your group. And then the facilitator is going to start the round, and that person will also make sure that every person has a turn. Then we have a recorder who will write the ideas, one collective list, and finally that's going to share the selected idea. So question? No? Okay. So in your group, you'll decide between yourselves who's going to be the facilitator, timekeeper, the manager, the recorder, and the presenter. Okay. Laura?
Yeah, so I've got the rooms ready to go. And I know we had 7 minutes for this activity. Is that still the timer you'd like to use?
I think we might want to cut it a little bit. There's only 2 groups, and I think probably about 3 minutes is good for the brainstorming, and then a minute or so to come up, or maybe 2 max, so 5 total.
Sure. Okay, so I'm just going to repost the instructions here in the chat. And the hope is that these instructions are going to follow you into your rooms. All right, so the breakout rooms are ready to go.
I have a quick question. So
Yes.
choose one idea to share.
So first, you're going to have everyone get the chance to express one idea,
You're getting
and then
cut
your
off
group
here
will,
and there. I don't know if
you'll
it's
choose an
me.
idea.
Yeah, so I think Estella, maybe your connection right now is a little bit coming in and out, but the idea I think you were trying to say is you're all sharing one, and then after everyone has shared, you choose one of those shared ideas to report back on.
Right, but what I want to know is share ideas about what was the question that
What are some classroom jobs that a learner at any level can do?
Oh, okay, I think I missed that one, that's why.
Thank
Mhm.
Well, thank you for asking, because that helps us clarify for everyone. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Estella, is that good with you?
Okay. Go.
All right,
Yes.
here we go.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you for your question, Kathy, earlier, because I realized after you guys went into the breakout room that I forgot to show the question, the slide with the question. So here we are, a little late, but that's okay. We were able to get it cleared up. So I would love to hear what your groups came up with. So in group 1, tell me what your one idea was that you want your reporter to share. So who's the reporter in group 1?
I'm not sure which group number we were.
Okay, so go ahead for your.
Yeah.
I didn't have them written down, so.
Group 1 was Aline, Belen, Hael, and Jorge.
Okay, so group 1 then.
I guess I'm the reporter. I think again, please help me out, ladies. We are in the middle of just doing discussion, and I think we didn't finish the actual idea.
Exactly. We had a couple of ideas, like you said,
Go ahead,
Jorge, but we
Belen.
didn't.
Go ahead, Belen.
I'm sorry to just jump in.
Go ahead.
But
Go
you
ahead,
asked
Belen.
for help.
Yes, please. Yes, yes. No. That's
Good.
I'm all for it. Yeah. I was.
No, we
Go ahead.
mentioned, like, because there was a couple of ideas that were tossed around, but we never really got to the one that was like, okay, but they were all good ideas. So I don't, to me, I think, like she said, pose a question that has to do with current relevant stuff, and everyone can participate in that either orally or written. So it gives a chance for our learners that quite aren't ready yet to write something down. They're still participating and working on language. And even if it's just bits and pieces of language, they can do it that way. Or if, they're afraid to talk, even a visual representation.
So is there a particular classroom job that is related to that?
That person would bring in, we would select a person per, that they would bring in that idea. Okay, I want you to orally say something, or I want you to write this down, or I want you to draw a quick picture of it, you know, and everyone has to participate. So everyone has an opportunity to take part in kind of like an academic type of activity. I would deem it that way.
Okay,
I
excellent.
don't know if it's too hard, but I mean, that's what.
I mean, you would be able to test it out, you know, and
Yes,
see how
exactly.
it works, right?
Yes.
Okay, so group 2, I know Yael says that was quick. It was. Okay, so in group 2, who is your reporter and what classroom job that you decide would anybody at any level a student at any level could do?
I was the recorder. Come on, no, I'm just kidding. So for us, because I thought the question was classroom jobs every learner can do instead
Correct.
of that a learner at any level can do. So we talked about, like, you know, let's say, because I know in Robinson's class, right, she passes out Chromebooks, and so if, let's say, we can have a monitor or a student that's in charge of passing out the Chromebooks, and if a student maybe low level in ESL, maybe high level in technology, and they could be very helpful when it comes to logging in and you know, how to navigate through whatever learning management system the school is using. So I think in that way we can kind of give them that responsibility and be kind of leading that particular area.
Awesome, thank you. So again, you've been a great resource to each other, sharing your ideas and experience. If you use a round robin in your class, modifications to the language of the directions would you need to make, and what role can a lower student play? What languages? These are some considerations that you would want to incorporate as you prepare to do this round robin activity with your class. Okay, so I want to make sure we stay on time, so I'm going to move ahead to the paradigm shift. So successful multi-level instruction may entail a paradigm shift of classroom roles of the instructor and the learners. Let's explore that paradigm shift now. So perhaps you're familiar with the sage on the stage. The role of the instructor may become more of a facilitator of instruction, a guide on the side versus the sage on stage. What's the difference between the two?
Another talking or everyone's maybe.
I can hear you, Belinda. Do you want to contribute?
I'm sorry that I had my middle. No, on stage, I would say is the person is presenting all the information because they're the wise one that's sending out the information. Where as a guide, he's just there to help along the person who's actually doing the presentation. So he's kind of an assistant. So the role's not so much on him, but on the other person.
Okay, any other thoughts on the guide on the side versus sage on the stage? Go ahead, Zenobia.
So I think it's the student-centered versus teacher-centered type of class, right? So here, sage on stage, like it's all like she said, the teacher has the knowledge and the students have to just absorb it and hear, okay, what do you know? You ask the guide on the side. It's like, what do you know? You ask the students and you use their knowledge and you add to that. Or I kind of like to ask my students whenever you're presenting a new topic to have them write down their ideas so that I know I'll understand what they know.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I'm going to read Yael's comment. She says, one is more horizontal and it democratizes the ideas of knowledge versus the teacher being the center. Okay, so I'm going to move on because I just noticed it's 1:52 and we still have a little bit to go. So the ESL model lesson planning. So this is something I'm sorry, let me go back to the paradigm. So this is something for self-reflection to think about where are you on this continuum And then what is an example or evidence of where you are? And so this might be something you come back to, watch the video again on this and make some notes for yourself about where you are on the continuum. Okay, ESL model lesson planning. So, good lesson planning has a backward design element to it, where you start with what are the desired end result that you want to, the students to be able to do when they're done. And then you determine the acceptable evidence. So when I do an evaluation with my students, what is it that I expect them to do with, that shows that they've met the desired outcome? And then from here, how do I plan those experiences and the instruction so that I can help my students get to these desired results? So some questions for discussion and reflection later. What will learners be able to do? What evidence will there be for learners to demonstrate their achievement of the lesson objectives? And then how will you facilitate that learning? Okay, and we're going to talk more about, are you going to be doing some more work on ESL multi-level lesson planning in the asynchronous Moodle, as well as I believe in our second webinar. Okay, group work. Let's talk briefly about grouping strategies to provide both management and instructional tools in a multi-level ESL class. You will work more with grouping strategies in the interim sessions and in session 2. So let's set the stage. Grouping a multi-level ESL class in addressing joint, building class community so that learners feel that they belong and contribute to the class, and meeting the instructional needs of individual learners. Tell me about some grouping strategies that you've seen these two goals work. If you can, just pop a 1 or 2 into the chat. So what group activities have you seen that help meet these goals of building class community and meeting the instructional needs of individual learners? I like how Laura worded the question. What grouping strategies have you seen used in this webinar? Okay, Aline says engaging jigsaw readings helps build community. Okay, great. Okay, asking personal questions, doing interviews. Thank you, Vanubia. Okay, so I want to move on. Thank you for your participation. This group has had such engaging conversation that it does, take us to different level of time-wise. So, multi-level objectives within the lesson. Yes, thank you. All right, so let's take a look at group work. So throughout a multi-level ESL lesson, there will be a variety of grouping strategies. WPAEA is the lesson planning format that the Adult Literacy Professional Development Project uses CalPro. Let's take a minute to clarify what the elements of the WPAEA lesson plan are. So we have the warm-up, the introduction, presentation, practice, evaluation, and application. So letters begin WIPPEA. The different stages require different grouping strategy. You can go ahead and click, Laura. At the beginning of the lesson, we want to establish class community, and can be fostered by a whole group warm-up activity. Remember that we have one topic, one class objective. You'll want to introduce the topic and present the new information to learners as a whole group. The use of props or realia and audiovisual aids can help make the content accessible to all learners. Go ahead and click. Learners practice the language and material at their own level in either likability or cross-ability groups. A note about cross-ability group practice. Each learner plays a role in this at the appropriate level, not with the lower level. An example of a cross-ability activity is the jigsaw that we did today. Go ahead and at the end, you'll want to bring learners together as a whole group. Click one more time. And you'll be working with more with group work in this course. Okay, let's go on to the course overview. So we've covered the main content of the class. And so what I want to share with you now is what to expect going forward. So the content for week 1 is that you're going to be working in the virtual workroom for multi-level ESL instructors provided by Jimmy Adelson Goldstein. I think it's time. And then in the workroom, you're going to see the 2 podcasts that you're working on during this week. So if you haven't reached connected with those, then you want to go ahead and make sure you pop in there, Laura. You've got podcast 1 is All the Madness, All the Magic, and podcast 2, Objectives and Levels, Content, Oh My. Okay, so Aline has a question. She says, does evaluation have to occur before application in the WPA model? Well, based on what I see, the evaluation, I think it's, evaluation is an ongoing process, as you're instructing, you're getting a pulse for where the students are to make sure that they understand what's going on, and then you come back and then continue with the application, because you want to make sure that they can continue to do what you're asking them to do, right? Great question. Okay, so then in week 2, we're going to identify the various parts of the lesson and then reflect on what kinds of activities help make the multi-level session successful. So you're going to take a look at a video demonstration of ESL multi-level class, and that's also, I believe, in the workroom. Yes, Laura?
Actually, that's a good question. So I think it might be, but don't quote me on that.
If not, it'll be linked. Yeah, if not, it'll be linked in that particular assignment day. And then in week 3, you are going to do reading for B, which will cover grouping strategies, whole group, likability, crossability, and then selecting materials. And continuing in week 3, you'll be in the virtual workroom for multi-level ESL instructors. Here you have 3 podcasts: The Art of Orchestrating the Multi-Level Class, Group Work That Works Part 1, and Group Work That Works Part 2. Okay, continuing on in week 3, you're going to begin developing your single multi-level lesson plan with differentiated objectives and learning activities. And then week 4, you're going to give feedback to colleagues, reflect, provide solutions to address the challenges facing multi-level instructors, and explore resources for multi-level instructors. Okay, so let's come to the place. What are your questions? Any quick questions that come to mind?
Yeah, this is Aline. I have a quick question about the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was watching or listening to the podcast, and within the podcast, they have some questions or activities to do, but when you click on them, they're disabled. So are we supposed to do the activities within the podcast as well, or only the ones on this course?
Go ahead, Laura.
It's my understanding that just listening to the podcast for this course is what's asked of our participants, but it's actually really good. I'm glad you brought up that issue with the site. I'm going to point that out to our web developers, see if we can fix that in any case.
Okay, thank you. I just wasn't sure if they were going to be graded or not, if that was part of the course, or we just use the podcast to listen and take notes.
That's the main objective, is to respond to the questions that are provided in the Moodle.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Okay. And then other questions, if you have them, please be sure to, email me or, put in an announcement, the Q&A. There's a place for you to do that as well. So either one is great. Okay, so these are the webinar objectives. Let's see, how did we do? Describe the value of building class community in an ESL multi-level class and describe ways to foster it. Describe the underlying principles of learner-centered classroom management. Describe the roles of the instructor and learners in an ESL class, and explore the multi-level ESL learning lesson planning process with backward design. So go ahead and give us a quick poll. We're doing a quick poll. Did we cover these objectives? Yes or no? You can pop your answer in the chat. And then while you're there, go ahead and share what was the most helpful that you learned from this webinar. All right, we have a yes so far. Awesome. Oh, even with an exclamation point, yes. Yes and no. Okay, Garrett, that's fair, Aline. We did have to rush a little there at the end. I do apologize. Okay. All right, so next steps. Oh, definitely. Awesome. Thank you. Yes. So your next steps are during, you want to go ahead and complete the activities in the Moodle by October 1st. Please go ahead and let me know and send me a quick email if you need a little bit more time. And then week 2, you can begin your activities starting October the 2nd. Okay, I'm turning it over to you, Laura.
Yeah, that just about wraps it up. Thank you for sticking with us. I know we went a little bit over time. This recording is going to be posted in Moodle by, I think, later today, actually. So we'll try to get that up there for you. But thanks again. We look forward to seeing you online in Moodle and at our next webinar. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.